1970s, biologist Frank Craighead began making observations on the seasonal timing of ecological events and published his popular book, For Everything There Is a Season. And the Craighead's research was a family affair.
Dad used to take us out all the time. So I look at it now, look at these photos, and there's a 10-year-old kid. These are real living live grizzly bears.
Visually stimulating and engaging throughout. The through line of the family and the father's nature education endeavors was this lovely link carried through by his kin. And then we got those interviews as well that felt like it was being passed down. And I thought it was a really nice through line to highlight the change of seasons, the change of environments, and the contrast throughout their lives. It was extremely striking, and it became personal as well. The call to action was brilliantly strong throughout, not just because they're words and the logic, but because that beautiful cinematography throughout. How can you ignore the immensity and the beauty of nature? So asking us to preserve this natural splendor and the steps of how to do it were just reinforced by these visuals. I thought it was also sonically a really beautiful and lush soundtrack in the background. There was a real drive and focus throughout that I think was really helpful as well. And I think the clear steps about how we can participate and how we can change maybe a couple things in our life was really effective.
This doc was a great way to really capitalize on how severe climate change has really gotten. Even, the man in the beginning where he's like, his dad had basically predicted climate change 45 years ago, but of course they didn't expect it to happen as soon as it did. That's how humans have really kind of plagued Mother Earth. It's been very interesting. I think having statements said like summer becomes increasingly more dangerous. We love the sun, we love when it's warm and stuff like that, but there's a reason why the seasons are the seasons in different regions. It's because it's needed for certain plants to be reserved. It's needed for certain animals to be able to hibernate. And, when hibernation is cut short and there's not enough food to survive post-hibernation, then what do you do? What do these animals do? They just die off. So I think this was a very beautiful piece that really explains that. I think the aerial shots to show what Mother Nature was and now what she is now because of the devastation that we've caused really, really hit home. But I also really like this narrative that this new generation is more engaged in climate control, does not deny it, and really wants to go out of their way to fix the problems that we have created. And I think it's very beautiful. I think the Nature Conservancy did a really good job at explaining all of this.
It's a very impactful documentary about the consequences of climate change on the changing seasons. I thought they had some very powerful statistics that they cited about the differences between now and the 1970s, just how spring is coming 2 to 3 weeks earlier, how fire season is lasting 3 months longer, how Yellowstone could potentially turn from forest to grassland. Everything they cited was really powerful and eye-opening as to what is happening with our climate and the changes that have occurred. As far as the footage, I thought the scenery and the landscapes that were captured were absolutely gorgeous. They had some really beautiful footage of our country and, the world really, and the climate and what's been impacted. Just seeing the before and after pictures of the glaciers being melted and things like that, and seeing what life was in the 1970s versus now was really cool and really showed us the changes as well there. So I think they did a really good job of hitting home how drastic these changes are and how important it is to acknowledge that. And also their call to action at the end was really powerful after showing us all these things, calling for us to take charge, lower our emissions, be mindful of how we're impacting the climate. So yeah, I thought that call to action at the end was really powerful and worked really well, especially after all the things that they showed us.
The visuals, the direction, the themes that this documentary tackles with climate change and animal life. This was a great eye-opening documentary for any individual who isn't too familiar with these themes and issues. happening around the world today. I love how this documentary tackles the theme of climate change, as mentioned, throughout the seasons, and it sort of provides us with with the devastating truths of the world, and shows us the visuals of the blazing fires across the world as you've done. So well done on this.
Impressive cinematography. It is marvelous scenery, showcasing all the implications of climate change on the environment, animals, water, and human food sources. That it's just cascading effects of the changing seasons that we are now experiencing, and that this was predicted so long ago and we just haven't acted accordingly. So we have natural disasters like wildfires, and although people are looking for alternative energies and options to get us out of this mess, I just think it's quite informative and a clear call to action, without dramatizing, but just showcasing the beauty that it is.